Hey everybody, it's Karen Anderson here with Aortic Hope for our week in review. This is for covering the week of May 8th. I think about what date we're in. Before we get started, please click like, please click the subscribe button, click that little bell so that you're notified every time we go live, because we go live for things, not only just the week in review, we go live when we do our Q&As, which is when we're interviewing practitioners, physicians, surgeons, all different types of people that are part of this community. And we give you an opportunity to interact with them live by placing your comments and questions in the comment section. And sometimes we just go live because we just feel like we have things on our mind we want to chat about. So click the bell so you're notified. And we also would ask you to please share the link from this video. And the importance of that is because a lot of what we talk about here really could be applicable to anyone in any disease, in any issue that they're having. So we're just going to get started now with the week of May 8th. And that started us off with our Movement for Movement Monday. Now, we talk about this all the time. It's going to be as a reminder, back in 2020, coincidentally enough, before COVID, our theme for the year was we wanted to create this movement about movement. We wanted to get people in the community feeling comfortable with doing whatever the doctors say you can do. So if the doctors are telling you that you can walk, then you should walk. It's good for you. And if you're struggling, you should talk to the doctors. And if doctors tell you you can go for a run, you can go for a swim, and you're trying to do it and you're struggling, again, you need to share that with your doctors. But a lot of us tend to become very fearful because we're in this new body and we're not sure what we're feeling, all of our sensations. So then we tend to stop moving. And that's what you don't want to do unless you're communicating that with your physician. So we also recognize that doing nothing sometimes is doing a lot. It just might be what your body actually needs. But there is a practice that you can implement, of course, clearing it with your doctor. It's called Qigong. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of this before. We actually did this in our mindfulness session that we've had here in Aortic Hope, but according to an article titled 6 Potential Health Benefits of Qigong, a TCM mind-body practice, which was written by Lauren Badowski in Everyday Health. Badowski actually says that Qigong is deeply rooted in traditional Chinese medicine. That's the TCM. And it's been used to promote and restore health for thousands of years. So I think something that's that old probably has a lot of merit to it. But though it wasn't formally called Qigong until the 1950s, that said, the Red Thread International Institute refers to Qigong as the world's oldest healthcare system. And practicing Qigong, it might actually help improve your fitness. It's going to help reduce anxiety and depression, lower your blood pressure, relieve chronic pain, strengthen the immune and respiratory systems, and just kind of improve your overall sense of well-being. And some other possible benefits of Qigong might be, as we talked about, relieving chronic pain. I put number 1, lowering your blood pressure. Of course, again, all of these benefits and just doing the act of Qigong needs to be discussed with your physician. But if you take a look at the article that was in this link, Qigong is really very simple movements. It is different than Tai Chi, if you've heard of that. And it is, it's nothing that's going to deal with isometric or holding your breath or straining. It's actually quite relaxing. And I do think it's something that you should take a look at. So when it comes to movement, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more gentler on the system, a little bit more meditative, if that's a word, did I just create that word? I'm not sure. This is something that you should take a look at that then. And you should talk to your physician about it. It's a great way to introduce your body back into moving after you've had surgery, or even if you feel a little stumped because you've had a diagnosis and you're feeling a little confused. So check that out. That is our Movement for Movement Monday. Okay, we're going to go on to Topic Tuesday. Okay. Topic Tuesday, we're so happy to have Adam Ahmed with us. He's a third-year medical school student. Medical school. You try to say that 3 times fast. Medical school student. Right. And he is contributing to our Topic Tuesdays. So it's awesome to have somebody who is focusing their attention on cardiothoracic issues and illnesses and diseases and systems. And he's the one that's giving our information for Tuesdays. So we actually started off with a small challenge because in the week prior, we discussed the 3 different layers of the aorta. So we were asking everybody if they could remember the names. So don't ask me. because even though I've known this for 8 years, yeah, I can't remember them right now because I just can't. I know it's outer, inner, middle, or outer, middle, inner. There you go. Don't ask me the technical terms because I have no idea. All right. We learned about the layers of the aorta last week, and in the coming weeks, Adam's going to really share with us different conditions that can be associated with this largest artery that's in your body. And on this particular day, we started off talking about aortic dissection. And there's a great review article by the Mayo Clinic that actually defines aortic dissection as a tear within the innermost layer of the aorta. And this causes blood to actually rush and accumulate between the innermost and the middle layer. The quote unquote dissection refers to the visual splitting of this layer of the aorta, which creates a true and a false lumen. So that would be like the actual tube that allows the blood to flow to all the parts of the body. So the true lumen would actually be the blood flow that's making it to the organs, because remember, the aorta feeds all of the organs within the body. And the false lumen then would be this pretend channel that actually leads to nowhere. And the hopes would be that we would be able to have something, it's called thrombosis. So you would actually have it form like a small clot within the aorta that would basically stops that false channel at that point. So it then forces all the blood to go through the true lumen, the true channel. So this is a lot of information, a lot of talk. But if you want to see some visuals and learn some more information, you would click the link that takes you to the Mayo Clinic. And it really does explain, let's enlarge this image here just a little bit. So here you've got your aorta that comes up out of the heart. And it's actually showing you this is an aneurysm right here because this is an enlarged area from here, right? This looks normal, this is enlarged. And what happens is this layer then splits, as we talked about, right about here. It splits in the innermost and the middle layer, and then the blood is still going to be pumping really hard from the heart. And so that blood enters that dissected area. So this would be your blood flow in the true lumen, and this is false. This could end up splitting all the way down. The split can stop at any particular point in the aorta, but that's still a false channel. It's still leading to nowhere. So if that gives you some kind of idea. But everything you'd want to know about dissections, symptoms you might have, treatment plans, it's all listed within this article, one of many that we've shared here on Aortic Hope. So check that out for our topic Tuesday. Okay, let's go on to Think Aorta Success Story Thursday. So I wasn't sure if you guys were really aware and paying attention, but Think Aorta has this amazing initiative that they launched a couple months ago called Think Aorta, Think Family. And if you check out this visual here, you have an opportunity to have you and your family's photo in this space right here. And we will create this social media marketing campaign basically for you that you can share on your own pages, share with your family, share with the community. And if you're part of this aortic disease community, then you should understand the importance of taking time to think about your aorta and think about your family. And what does this mean? It means having sometimes a very awkward, uncomfortable conversation with your family members and with the appropriate physicians about your medical history. Because we already know that there's a very high likelihood that aortic disease is going to be genetic, has a genetic component. And aortic dissection is very rare, but aortic disease in general is much more common than anybody thinks about. So you need to consider, please consider, if you've had these conversations with your family, if you've had these conversations with your physician, they want to know about it. Think Aorta wants to know about it. They want to feature you and have you talk a little bit about your experience with aortic disease, your diagnosis, your situation. How did these conversations happen in your family? Did any of your family members have any diagnostic testing? Now, this can be genetic testing, an echo, a CT, an MRI. What was the plan for you and your family? We don't need to necessarily know the outcome as much as we want to know that you did the work, because that's what's going to help reduce any mortality rates from a dissection and potentially increase diagnosis and therefore proper monitoring. So you submit your story to them, they will feature you in this success story, and you'll have an opportunity then to share it everywhere. and it's a win-win for everybody. So you have to remember, aortic dissections are rare. Aortic disease, much more common than you think. We want people to have a diagnosis early on so that they can be properly monitored and avoid that aortic dissection. So that is your Think Aorta, Think Family success story program. We'd love to see you apply to that. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on to our Friday. Excuse me. We introduced to you on the first Friday of the month, because it's our first Friday fundraiser, that we have our new shop. Our apparel is no longer on our Teespring shop. We have moved everything to Spreadshop. Spreadshop is wonderful. It's awesome. Teespring's great too for its product line. Cafe Press has other certain products. Spreadshop's where you're going to find all of our apparel. And there should be, I think we were at 15% off. We might be at free shipping right now. These specials tend to ebb and flow. I will say for the record though, if you're a woman buying a women's cut piece of clothing, because women's clothing tends to be darted in, I have heard from a few people that they feel it's running a little bit small. Size up or go to unisex and it'll be fine. They have phenomenal customer service, lots of product lines for you to take a look at, lots of logos, many colors. Hey, and if you have a suggestion of something you'd like to see, just shoot us an email at info@aortacope.org and we'll see if we can create it for you. Here's some of the pictures of some of the things that we have. That's on the Spreadshop page. All right, so check that out. Okay, moving on. Survivor Series Saturday. This was just a general PSA announcement, little commercial for Survivor Series. The community wants to hear from you. This is different than the Think Aorta, Think Family, because that's for Think Aorta US. This is Aorta Cope's Survivor Series. This is very important. We want you to be the shining star in someone else's life by telling us your story, telling everyone your story. You can be the survivor telling the story. You can be the caregiver, giving your point of view. And even if you have lost a loved one to aortic disease, we still want to hear about your loved one. There's always a lesson to be learned in someone's story. So what we're focusing on is wanting to know the symptoms that were felt, the diagnosis. How were you diagnosed? Because way too often people are misdiagnosed, underdiagnosed, sent home altogether. We want to know about that, because we want to be able to share that with Think Aorta so that emergency room physicians, first responders can learn about your story and learn about the importance of thinking aorta. So if you're interested, there is a form to complete, and you have 3 different ways that you can do this. You can submit your story in written form with a photo. You can do a pre-recorded video and include a photo. Everything is including a non-medical photo. But you can also go live on YouTube, take questions from the community, because what your story is going to do is validate someone else's experience, as well as create some thought-provoking questions that maybe they can take back to their own physician. Trust me, I get many, many messages, and I see the comments to these stories. You're making a difference by sharing. If it's emotional for you, that's even better, because that means that you know the value of your own experience and what it's going to mean to somebody else. So consider signing up today and being featured in our survivor story. Okay, time to move on. We're moving on to our Scientific Sunday, and it is Genetics 101 with our own Director of Genetic Education, Ryan Rodimer, doing some great things over at the VEDS movement, which is, I believe, part of Marfan's. He's now a new director, so we congratulate him over on that work. And he is going through this whole Genetics 101 series, and he's really over the next couple of weeks going to provide a variety of topics that really kind of create discussions and a pathway to discussing the genetics when it comes to aortic disease. So in the last article that he did, he shared with us a lot of information about Loeys-Dietz syndrome, which is actually a connective tissue disorder, and it's likely more common than previously thought, and it has a significant risk for the development of aneurysms or dissections, not only in the artery, but in other peripheral arteries as well. And so as we continue to journey through the world of genetic connective tissue syndromes, it's time to turn our attention to Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. So this is a group of related connective tissue disorders that families and caregivers, this particular class has its own challenges and its own nuances. So just like with LDS, Loeys-Dietz syndrome, and Marfan syndrome, EDS awareness is crucial. It's critical, particularly for survivors, their family members, caregivers. that might be dealing with or suspecting there could be aortic dissections. If you have questions about any of this information, you can always email Ryan directly at ryan@myaorticjourney.com. And if you have other additional questions, you can reach out to us as well. But the guiding mantra here is to think aorta, think family. That's what all of this education is about. Now, we do know that only about 30% of individuals who have aortic disease will actually be diagnosed with one of these genetic conditions today. That's just today. Because I can tell you, like in the last 8 years, there's been about 8 new genetic mutations that have been discovered and named. So things are rapidly changing, but that still means that 70% of us don't really know why this happened to us. We do know that there's something there, but we don't know what it is. So it's still important to learn about this because it might give you insight to talk to your family, learn a little bit more about relatives and potential conditions that they might have had as well. So EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, is not just one condition. That's the interesting thing. It's a collection of disorders. And each of these disorders have their own specific traits and symptoms or causes. And understanding these subtypes can really help everyone better manage and navigate the challenges that they each present. So in this article that he goes into, and I'm not going into all of it, he actually is going to talk about one very specific type of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and that is VEDS, which is vascular Ehlers-Danlos symptoms. He's going to talk about a little bit about everything, but he's going to go through the classical symptoms and descriptions of EDS, and then he's going to go into a lot that has to do with hypermobility EDS and vascular EDS. So check this article out. Maybe it might cause you to say, wow, you know, I think I might have some of these symptoms. I haven't been tested. Maybe it's time to talk to a geneticist, talk to my doctor, or maybe it doesn't resonate with you and it's just educational, and that's fine. But again, think aorta, think family, have these conversations. For all you know, there might be some component that maybe was missed, and then talk to your doctor. So that's our Scientific Sunday, Genetics 101 with Ryan Rottermer. All right, simple week, bing, bam, boom. Or what was it on the Sopranos? Bada bing, something like that. All right, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, please put comments below. And don't forget to click like and click subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified when we have these weekend reviews. Thank you again so much. Until next time, bye-bye.